Nā reira e te whānau, tēnei mihi kauake kia kōrua hua rawa ko Whaea Lynda, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. The time is over to you, Hua.
Thank you. I mute myself. Mano mai te Maori nuku, mano mai te Maori rangi, ko te Maori kei o he Maori te pua. Ka pakru mai te pau, tau mai te Maori. Homi e, hui e, tai ke e. I te taha o toko mātua, ko Taishan toko manga, ko Huanghe toko awa, ko Henanshen toko rohi, ko Jiyuanshi toko wahi, ko Poto Taishan toko iwi, ko Dai toko hapu, ko Dai Shengtang toko papa. I te taha o toko whaya, ko Zhongyuan te whenua, ko Huanghe toko awa, ko Henanshen toko rohi, ko Mengxian toko wahi, ko Liangcun toko iwi, ko Liu toko hapu, ko Liu Ailian toko mama, ko Liu Lanying toko whaya, ko Dai Hua aho. E noho ana aho na yane, ko tamaki makaurau e te hao o uru, ko te wao nui o tiriwa te manga, ko te waio parira te awa, ko piha te moana, ko te wahi ora te papa kaianga, ko whadai aho, he Kaimahi o i te Whare Wananga o Waraka ki Watakari, no reira tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou tātou katoa. Kia tātou te whano o Etalans, e whiwhi mai nei I tine wā. I am Hua, I am a senior lecturer in academic learning and development and the learning advisor at Te Whare Wananga o Waraka, Unitec, ki Watakari campus. And I'm presenting to you with Whaea Lynda. Whaea Lynda Toki is a kaitiake guardian at the Unitec Marae Ngako Mahaki. And she's also a katiake of Pua Wananga, which are cultural sessions to enhance staff and students' cultural understanding and competence on campus. She also offers Haora healing sessions for staff and students as her pastoral care to help bring balance into their lives. Whaea Lynda Toki is at a very important medical appointment that was scheduled a year ago. So she did not want to wait for another year if she missed this one. So she is not able to be here to present in person. That really equals to the keynote speaker's concept of whole person, with the messiness of life. So we acknowledge that, and also I in my presentation I incorporate fully Whaea Lynda's Corey message. And I ran this by her on Tuesday to make sure I can represent her. So she is very happy, and she gave me her full permission and acknowledgement and blessings for me to go ahead with this. We appreciate your understanding and your support in this situation. As Tanya introduced, our topics, Kamua Kamuri, looking back to move forward. Cultural conscious awareness for Kaimahi and Tauira as whole persons in a mindful educational system. Looking back, I need to put it in the whole, it wasn't in the, can I put it, how can I, because it was on the, everyone see it clearly? Okay, because I was going to put it in the slideshow, but somehow it did not come through. Okay, so now I click on that one. Oh, okay, I shouldn't mess with this. Okay, so I'm going to move on to my next slides. So looking back, we found in the traditional Maori Marae-based learning, the whole person concept, where Tauira and Kaimahi share their experiential learning. So their experiential learning are interwoven on the Marae-based learning system. Whaea Lynda Toki started participating in the tribe's political debate at the age of 3 with her ancestor, No Maniapoto. She was contracted by her great-grandmother to carry on the great-grandmother's healing work, and with the promise of as a payment of a login track. Think of the 7-year-old, looking forward to have a login track as a payment when she agreed to carry on the great grandmother's healing session. And now Whaea Lynda is working in her living biggest login track, the Unitec Marae, which is a vehicle of knowledge carrying staff and students from the past to the future. So this is Whaea Lynda's personal example of ACO, where the traditional whole person way of learning and knowing happens in the intergenerational teaching and learning system. From Wha's culture, we find that in the ancient Confucian schools, where tauira and Kaimahi lived together, they stayed together on campus, and they the teaching and learning through engaged in teaching and learning through shared living experiences, life experiences. So that demonstrates a holistic approach to whole person engaging in learning. My grandfather was homeschooled in this fashion, where his teacher was hired or contracted to live on my great-grandparents' family ground to teach my grandfather in the Asian way, learn by heart the classic texts. And my grandfather, when he visited me in his 70s at my university, we went out for a walk in the street. He's recited the long passages from the one of the 4 classics, Chinese classics, the Great Learning, from his, when he was teaching, when he was taught at the school-based education. And I was taught this way as well by my grandparents, even my great-grandfather, because I was brought up by my grandparents. So therefore, this informed my formed my concept or principle or understanding of cultural educational mindfulness or mindful education, where we every member in the system, in the teaching and learning system, reflect on and be mindful of who we are. No matter we are Kaimahi or tauira, we are products of our respective cultures. Tauira and Kaimahi teacher and students in the traditional way are the 2 sides of a coin. They are not separable. We teach and learn from students, and learn from students. We teach students, and they do the same thing. So it's a reciprocal, ever flowing river between student and energy, or between student or in the ground of learning and teaching and learning. And where we come from our localities and the climates pertaining to the localities that shaped our upbringing and shaped who we are, and now become part of who we are. What we are becoming through the educational system at Aotearoa New Zealand, we are becoming more than what we have ever been. So the culture of the land we are standing on interplays with who we are, the culture we each bring in ourselves, and connect our past with our future. So we stand in this ground, we transit in this ground through the educational process. We become who we are more than what we can come here for. What we have been, and so move into our future. The whole person concept in mindful education considers the confluence of the culture of origin and the culture or the host and the hosting culture at Aotearoa New Zealand in the educational system, which as a system interplays with our aspirations and goals as students and teachers. So my experience as a Kaimahi of how cultural conscious awareness supports me practice as whole person, knowing I belong in the mindful educational system that I have created in my support work. It really started from the first week when I arrived in New Zealand to continue my PhD in applied linguistics with a scholarship from Sydney University. In the first week, in February 2001, I heard that Te Reo is one of the official languages, for Aotearoa New Zealand. I had there and then a heartfelt desire to learn Te Reo and one day to be able to speak as fluent as I speak English, Te Reo language one day. So this is my life project. I'm engaged. And I hope to engage in, and it only started when I came to start working at Unitec in May 2009. Here, I really enjoy this, this ground, this land, and with this many Kaimahi array of Maori teachers. And I engaged in many Whare Wananga sessions with Whaea Lynda. And in the first session, Whaea Lynda helped me create my pepeha. Pepeha is the Maori way to recite their whakapapa and their identity. So I found it at the very beginning difficult to bring my two heritage together, cultural heritage together. One from China, the second one is from my adopted cultural identity by living in Tiwahiora in Pepeha for 8 years. I totally identify myself with the land, with the people, with the way of doing things. And so I did not know how these two can be brought together. And it created a conflict in myself, therefore imbalance in me. So Whaea Lynda encouraged me to stay true to myself, to my world, and helped me bring these two together, with these two heritage together beautifully, as you heard at the beginning of this presentation, my pepeha. So my Chinese heritage and my adopted heritage in Aotearoa, New Zealand, are together, standing side by side together, and keep my world whole. Therefore, I am held as whole person in my world, and therefore I belong wherever I go. I belong in my world holistically and wholly. This allowed me to engage with my continuous learning Te Reo, as well as be part of the Karanga Wananga with a group of Wahine Maori to learn the art of calling Karanga. And also to deepen my understanding of Tiang Maori, the Maori worldview. And for further, to continue my PhD, which I discontinued in 2003 due to a personal reason. And this time in a different topic, which is closer to my heart at this time of my life. And I continue my ACO, my learning and teaching all the time as a way of living. So this holistic way of education system that I have created for myself and for students who come to me meant that I hold an open space to see students as a whole person, for them to be who they are and where they come from and what they are becoming. Therefore, it's more relaxing for them and more authentic and true to meet them and myself as a whole person. And so Whaea Lynda's example of her pastoral care supporting transformation in Kaimahi and tauira in a culturally conducive educational environment has that. So the first example is that an international student who was a physics and science teacher in their home country, and he was here to study English, of course, to onward to another degree. So through conversations, Whaea Lynda found that he had a love for children. So for one semester, every Saturday, Whaea Lynda would bring her own grandchildren, 3 grandsons, to learn math and science from this student, and at the same time teaching him English and Te Reo, of course, because the children are fluent in Te Reo. So now the student learn English in a familiar environment where he is also a teacher. So now he's a Kura Kupapa science teacher, and with perfect English, and also Whaea Lynda's word, even more perfect Te Reo Maori. I would love to have the opportunity to learn from these children. That would be beautiful, Te Reo. And so the second example, a nursing student failed his placement 3 times, practicum 3 times, and he was brought to Whaea Lynda for assistance. So Whaea Lynda had a conversation with him, and so this student, the reason he failed the placement was because he was deemed by his preceptor to be unable to show empathy. So this gave him a lot of distress, and Whaea Lynda found, through conversation, found that he had a traumatic experience in his early life that discouraged him to show emotions. So with the permission of the head of the school, Whaea Lynda brought. Okay, great. Whaea Lynda invited students to the marae and gave him the responsibilities to look after the nursing students and also manaki them through the porphyry sessions. And this student now has graduated and become a worker at a nursing rest home. And he will eventually look after his parents and grandparents. Last message is mindful education. We as whole persons hold an open space to support and foster the development of our students as well as their learning. They are not only students who have come to us for learning. They are whole persons with their life aspirations and goals as human beings who will keep developing and evolving in the world. Education as a system could be enhanced with members of the system becoming mindful. Norira, tina koto tato katoa. That's my presentation, our presentation from me and Whaea Lynda Toki. Thank you.
Oh, lovely. Toro mihi mahana te kia koe e hoa. And please pass on our thanks and to Whaea Lynda for her contribution to this presentation. Just as a closing and a thanks for what you shared with us, I just wanted to pick up on some key things that you had shared with us, and there were some outstanding things that came through your presentation. Being mindful of where you are and who you are. I really loved that thinking, that we are products of our culture, that we teach and learn from and with students. That was quite strong, that came through. I love how you talked about our location shapes what and who we are and what we are becoming. I loved the statement that said land, the land that we stand on interplays with who we are. And I'm privileged to hear of your journey in owning your space. I framed it as that, owning your space within Aotearoa New Zealand. And also, by the way, congratulations on your journey in Te Reo Māori. Tēnei e mihi kauaka kia koe kataia e koe I roto I taua kaupapa. It was a brilliant presentation and we want to thank you. Has anybody got any questions? I can allow for 1, maybe 2 questions before we need to go. No questions?
Georgie.
Thank you. Oh, there is a question?
Georgie had her hand up.
I'm sorry, I can't see where you're seeing, so I'll just close that and see if...
Not me, sorry, but I think KM Ben might have had their hand up.
I think she just applauded. It's a sign of applauding.
Oh, there you
Thank
go.
you.
It was a great and brilliant presentation. Thank you, Whaea, and thank you everybody for participating. If you do have any questions, I've no doubt that Whaea would just love to hear from you. Feel free to go along and use the Padlet at any time, or to just interact with myself or any of the ATLANS committee members, and we can pass on any questions that you have. So